So these guys are, this looks like 8 and 15/16, which actually makes the math a little bit more challenging, but that's okay. I'm starting on this wall so that I can end up with a full board over here, and we're going in this direction. I can't really start on that side because these all click in like this. They're not engineered or hardwood where you can start in the middle and then go in both directions with a spline. I do want to lay out a couple of these and get a better measurement of the overall width of each plank. Oh, that goes nicely. All right, we're gonna do 3 and then take a measurement of the width and divide it. And we'll compare that to what we thought we got with the 1. So for 3, we're gonna call that 26 and 7/8. 7/8 divided by 3. Let's put out a few more, because that's bad mathing.
I make sure to not measure from the tongue because that gets overlapped when inserted to another board. So I only measure the upward facing material.
So over 5, we're at 53 and 7/8. No, that's over 6.
The particular math I work out here doesn't matter as much as understanding why I'm measuring 6 pieces instead of 1. If I have a small error when I measure 1 piece and math that into how many pieces I need across the whole room, that error gets bigger every time. But if I take 6 pieces and start with about the same small error, because I'm measuring the same anyway, then divide that error to get the width of one board, that error is now 1/6 or 17% of what it was before. That's just good building.
Oh man, you guys are gonna have to check my math for me today. Well, let's go with 152 divided by 9, 16.8. We need to know how many go along this way so that we can know how much of a piece is left over at that end. So 0.8 times 9, so we're gonna be 8 inches on that end. When you're using engineered or hardwood, you kind of have a system like this. You've got a tongue and you've got a groove, and you can just kind of like shuck it in like that. So if you want to spin it around, you'd end up with 2 grooves, and you can put a spline down the middle, and that works to mimic your tongue on either side. So you can do, you know, take one and spin it the other way 180, right? With this stuff, you have to tilt it in and then go down, which means that if I want to spin it around and then start here and go this way and then still tie into it coming in from this direction, that would be like coming here and trying to say, all right, let's try to tip it in underneath like this. And you can already see that that is way, like it's just, it might work with 2 people, but it's way more difficult than being able to come along and tab one end in, and then you're done. So these things are kind of long. Now you guys can start to get an idea of why I wanted this for all the end cuts, because that's going to be the majority of the cuts, rather than using something like this or the miter saw. And score it and snap it. That works. Saves getting the jigsaw out. I like this tool. GG Marshalltown. You made a good tool. I want this to end up about there. That is pretty close. First 2 rows, always the hardest with this stuff. That's pretty close. There we go. All right, so we've got 133 and 9. And then 133 and 3/4. So we can try to push this end in some and probably even squeeze this in more. 134 and a quarter. That's about 134 and a quarter.
I was having trouble getting the pieces to click together, and my best guess was that it was due to the unflatness of the floor. So I cut some cardboard shims that I could put underneath the installed pieces that had sagged a little bit. I used the board I was going to install to check the flatness of the previously installed boards.
Wanna bet that's a ton easier now? And look, it's like, it's just right in already. All right, so I know what the problem is in the middle there. That's how it should go. Okay, so let me take this piece out. And we get this piece in close enough. And we get that in about the right spot. And we trace this out here. Now the fun part of this, and why I will always do door jambs after flooring in the future, is getting this under without undercutting the tongue and gluing it is gonna be, definitely gonna be difficult. Yeah, it'll slide in. Like, we did that, that's the easy part. And we can get it kind of on this end real easy, but then I can't tilt it up to get it to lock into this. Right, so this tilt here that I can't get, that's the hard part. And I wanna see if I can come up with a way where I don't necessarily have to cut it and glue it.
Different click systems will make this more or less difficult. I've used some laminates where it's specifically designed to have this sort of no-tilt sliding action. This is not one of those.
Oh my goodness. Now this whole end can kick in. That'll help that angle a bit. This worst possible piece might have just gone kind of easy.
While I was installing the flooring, I had a lot of people on Twitch chat give me their suggestions for things that were making my life difficult, which actually I always love and really appreciate and usually can end up using in one way or another. One in particular was to put spacer wedges around the edges of the room to provide support for my malleting. I did use these when I was installing my first ever floor a long time ago, but I quickly found two problems. First, drywall squishes, and putting my hammer blows into the space of these little clips increased the pressure and made the walls squish even easier. The second problem is that walls aren't straight and floors need to be, so putting the same size wedge along the wall won't help.
And that heckin' worked. Aww. Yay! I did it. I want to get the name on this before we start using it.
That's Barry McBarFace to you. I didn't already have one of these because first there was a fire that got rid of all my tools, and then the only floor I installed after was engineered hardwood, which doesn't need this.
I'm going to leave a little bit of this visible here so I can tell if this gap gets closed. Perfect. All right, close enough. Trying to find out how far we go this way with this.
This piece represented my only real failure with the floor, and that was due mostly to me not being super prepared. I had to glue this one in because I couldn't get any lift on the groove side of the new piece at all. It would have gone a lot better if I had just had everything ready to begin with. So we get to watch in super speed as I proceed to go looking for tools 3 times. Learn from my mistakes. If you're going to glue, first, don't use accelerant. It'll give you more time to adjust the piece. And second, but more importantly, so like first, really first, just have all your stuff ready. This piece lets me show my absolute mid-range effort for these floors. By scoring and snapping the floor, I was able to put the two pieces back together well enough after that you don't really notice it's cut if you're not really looking for it. Never, never, never doing trim before floors again.
Was that gap up pretty good? That's not awful.